How's it going there, everybody? It's Mr. Zen over here, bringing you guys a brand new Nanatsu no Taizai chapter discussion. And for today's segment, guys, we're going to be talking about is 3 chapters in one video. And in this video, we're going to be talking about is chapter 213, 14, and 15, folks. Because I've been a little bit behind. I'm not going to lie to you guys. But continuing on. So, in chapter 213, guys, we see actually Ro. I believe that's what the translation was actually calling him. But I believe in the earlier translation, they called him Law. Law from Stigma was actually betraying Stigma itself, and he actually started killing everybody. And now in chapter 213, though, that was not the case. That was actually his redemption. Yes, folks. In chapter, that's what kind of didn't really make any sense in chapter 213, was because of that. He was shown to be this villainous character, and out of nowhere, Nabaka actually just flips him around, and then starts becoming a character that actually has feelings and remorse because of the fact that Gerhard actually reminded him of his sister, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I kind of didn't like that for a fact because it felt too quick. That's what I didn't really like. Like, it was like one chapter he's just killing everybody, and then the next chapter he's a good guy. Like, it just didn't really make any sense, in my honest opinion. And at the same time, they were kind of showing flashbacks of Law's actual past as to explain as to why he became a villainous character. And why he was actually betraying the human race too at the same time. But it just didn't make any sense because, to me, it would have felt more sense that if he was actually, you could say, they were holding hostage one of his family members, or if he was just giving like a really good offer from the demon clan itself. But it just didn't really make any sense that he really joined the freaking demon clan side just because of his own will and accord. That I personally thought that that really wasn't really just a big deal. Like, to me, it felt like it was cheap story writing, and it felt in a way that they just really needed to make the character seem like he's not so over redundant and just seems just like a character that, I don't know, just to try to make him stand out against amongst the other villains that were involved in the Taizai universe. Honestly, like, I felt Law's character, it felt like it needed more work to be done with that one. It just felt too quick. Like, honestly, I felt like Law's character also at the same time in chapter 213, he should have been shown more as to explain how he got to the position that he was at too, and shown more of his ambition, not just because, they killed his family members when he was young. No. They should have dedicated a whole chapter, like a whole flashback chapter, onto that in itself. That would have been interesting, in my honest opinion. That I personally would have thought that, Law, now I can actually connect more with Law. But no, they didn't. Chapter 13 didn't make any sense. But it seems that the Fairy King Gloxinia within its body was actually King. King, on the other hand, seemed that he saw that Law massacred all of every single character that was there. He sees that, so, of course he has no time to question that, which then leads on to chapter 214. Where he's actually in the midst of fighting Law, and Law, of course, and after having his own redemption and everything, just because now he actually feels sorrow and he has these negative emotions that he killed all these people. Gloxinia, of course, comes out of nowhere and says, "You know what? I'm not gonna kill you," which throws another slap to the face, saying like, "Wait, what's going on here?" But that in itself, in the King's defense, it actually did make a little sense, like in Nabaka's actually story writing, because King on chapter 214, he actually explained that no, I'm not gonna kill Law because of the fact that he's been through this situation before. He's experienced this kind of dilemmas that not every villain is actually set out to be a villain, as they all have their own stories to tell, which I'm like, okay, Nabaka, you got yourself right there. You got me now liking the story a little bit more, because now in chapter 214, it explains also that King's trial was actually meant to be that. It was his decision to actually kill Law, or to actually face the consequence and actually try to talk it out. And then right there, you actually see King in chapter 214 actually escape out of you could say, like, in that little magic that Gloxinia actually put on to King itself. That, in a sense, made more sense, because now King actually knows that he experienced the power of the Fairy King, but they still kind of not hinted like if he's going to gain anything. Instead, it just seems more like he just gained knowledge of how to use a better weapon, if you could kind of say. Like that's That's personally my opinion, like how the king is actually going to grow more in strength, which kind of makes him very lazy at the same time. His own magical power is not increasing, but instead he's just going to get a stronger weapon. Kind of seems very lazy, like another form of lazy writing. But like I said, it makes King's character stand out amongst the other 7 deadly sins, because the other 7 deadly sins are they're the embodiments of, you could say, of different types of aspects, as you guys kind of see. Bon is more with, he has like a giant regenerative ability. Meliodas has a really strong attack power, and I believe it was Merlin with a high capacity of everlasting magic. And then of course we got Escanor with just physical prowess and like just balanced everything out. Like honestly, his fighting powers is actually pretty good. But needless to say though, like I said, chapter 214 was a little bit better from chapter 213. 213, I feel like that was Nabaka's weakest point in the story, in this flashback itself. Honestly, like, if I give my own opinion, I felt that should have said was just ridiculous. But 214 was doing a little bit better. And I'm also loving the fact that Dolor and Gloxinia, they're actually explaining to that the decisions to join the 10 Commandments was out of actual anger, and not necessarily they joined because they just wanted to know. They joined because of the fact that they were seeing all this bloodshed shed amongst their own clan members, that honestly, like, okay, it's starting to make sense that, they really just went in there just with a full head of rage. Okay, makes sense. But needless to say though, King, I'm hoping to see what kind of more powers he's actually going to be involved with, and I'm hoping that King actually grows his wings, because they still didn't explain if he's gaining his wings or not. I don't understand that. Is he gaining his wings, or is he one of those fairies that are actually wingless? They still haven't explained that in that situation. Needless to say, I do want to see more of what King is capable of doing now that he's actually witnessed the power of Gloxinia's actual fairy weapon of some sort. I actually forgot the name of it, honestly. But needless to say, we gotta move on though. Now we gotta move on to chapter 215, folks, because in chapter 214, like I said, Gloxinia was explaining that, King passed the trial, but now in chapter 215, it's actually Diane's turn to actually show if she's gonna pass the trial or not, and for her trial is based on the giant clan's actual roots, and that in itself is the love for fighting. Now, because Dolor was always enjoying himself to fight, and he's always in the heat of the battle. The thing about Dolor, they explained why he joined the 10 Commandments, was the fact that he could not, because of, his pride, he could not run away from a battle. And because we see Zeldris, folks, yes, Zeldris is actually in chapter 215 as a main villain. And he showed just how powerful it was, as they actually showed Diana facing off against Zeldris in Dolor's body. But the thing about that was the fact that Zeldris was just on a whole other level, and it made Dolor seem like a very huge weakling. That just goes on to say that Zeldris really is a much more powerful opponent that we all have been anticipating. And honestly, it makes even Estarossa look like a very much weakling character as well. So it goes on to say that, yes, I believe Zeldris really is going to be the final villain of this arc itself, just because of the fact that he actually was able to host the Demon King's powers in his own body. That in itself was actually pretty interesting to look at. But needless to say, I'm digressing, because, but the fact is the fact that, we see Zeldris, he's going to face off against Dolor back in the 3,000 years, and from there, guys, we actually noticed that Diana's decision was to run away. She ran away from Zeldris, because that was the only logical conclusion, and that's what made her set apart from the actual other giants themselves, because instead of joining the 10 Commandments, she says, no, I'm going to run away, because that's not a decision that should be rightfully mine, and it should be something that I should actually think about and consider the consequences. No, she just literally just went on a whim and said, let me just run away. And honestly, it makes sense, and she's that, plus, it's Diane. She's not really good with making these kind of decisions, so of course her only logical conclusion was to run away as well, which I thought that was pretty hilarious. And honestly, seeing freaking Dolor actually noticing that Diana actually woke up, because the thing about that I'm saying that didn't make any sense in chapter 215 as well, is the fact that they're in the past, but if they die in the past, that means that they can't return to their bodies. But yet they were touching everybody, they were feeling everybody, and everything that was going on just felt like as if they were in the past, but at the same time they're not really there. Like, it was kind of weird as how Nabaka actually wrote that part. Probably it was just just to make it seem more over dramatic. But like, personally, I felt like that was just a little bit confusing, just a little bit. But needless to say, though, having Diana come back and then having her kiss King at the end of the chapter, that was actually interesting, because then it goes to show that Diana is now actually accepting herself, to saying that, you know what, that life is really fragile. Even if your memories are gone, it doesn't matter. The point is that she's accepting King for who he is, and she wants to live the rest of her life with him, because she just basically saw that she was felt in a place where she was overwhelmed and she could have died at any moment, that she said, you know what, I gotta take life as it is now and love King. Honestly, I felt that scene was actually pretty important. But needless to say, that's how the chapter ended. And let me know down in the comments, guys, as to what you guys' thoughts on the chapter itself. What were you guys' high points of the chapters in chapter 13, 14, and 15? And what are you guys' thoughts on King as to how he's gonna grow? Because honestly, like I said, King, he needs to grow a little stronger. Honestly, like I know Diana, I feel like she's not gonna grow as much due to the fact that all she really needs to learn is Dolores' dance. That's about it. But it's Key that I'm kind of worried about, because he's not really growing as a character. I mean, because just look at him. He has no physical prowess. He needs physical prowess. That's what he really needs. But like I said, let me know down in the comments. And as always, guys, if you guys are having a wonderful day, don't forget to give a like, comment, share, and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. But this is Mr. Zen, signing out.